Summer is here, and everything you need for adventure is waiting at shockshop.us. Gear up with camping essentials, stylish bathing suits for fun in the sun, reliable generators for every outdoor trip, kayaks, dinghies, and water toys for non-stop excitement. From backyard fun to lakeside escapes, shackshop.us has it all. Shop the summer sale now and save big at shackshop.us.
Nancy Guthrie mystery deepens as criminal profiler questions authenticity of ransom notes. The disappearance of Nancy Guthrie remains one of the most widely discussed criminal investigations in the country, drawing national attention because of both the disturbing circumstances surrounding her disappearance and her connection to television journalist Savannah Guthrie. Months after the shocking incident, investigators continue searching for answers, while experts analyze every available clue in hopes of uncovering what happened. One of the latest developments in the case involves questions surrounding the ransom notes reportedly linked to the abduction. While law enforcement agencies have not publicly revealed all details about the communications, portions of the messages have become known through media reports. These details have prompted criminal behavior experts to examine whether the notes truly reflect the mindset of the individual responsible for the crime. Among those weighing in is veteran criminal profiler John Kelly, who has spent years studying violent offenders and analyzing criminal behavior. After reviewing publicly available details regarding the notes, Kelly expressed skepticism that the messages accurately represent the psychology of the person who allegedly carried out the kidnapping. His assessment has reignited discussion about whether the communications are genuine, whether multiple people may have been involved, and whether the messages could have been intended to mislead investigators. As the mystery continues, every detail remains under intense scrutiny. A case that shocked the nation. The circumstances surrounding Nancy Guthrie's disappearance immediately raised alarm among both investigators and the public. Reports indicate that the incident occurred during the early morning hours when an intruder allegedly entered her residence and forcibly removed her from the home. The event was particularly disturbing because of the victim's age and because evidence suggested a violent encounter had occurred. According to publicly released information, surveillance footage captured an individual wearing a mask and carrying a backpack. The suspect reportedly took steps to avoid identification while moving around the property. Investigators later discovered signs indicating that a struggle may have occurred. Evidence reportedly included blood found near the residence, creating immediate concern for Nancy Guthrie's safety. From the beginning, authorities treated the case as a high-priority investigation involving multiple agencies. As news spread nationally, public concern intensified. The case attracted widespread media attention not only because of the alarming circumstances, but also because Nancy Guthrie is the mother of television personality Savannah Guthrie. Family members quickly joined the effort to locate her, appealing to the public for information and cooperation. The appearance of the ransom notes. One of the most unusual aspects of the investigation emerged when messages described as ransom notes began appearing. The first communication reportedly demanded millions of dollars in Bitcoin and established a payment deadline. According to reports, the note also contained information related to the crime scene that was not widely known publicly at the time. Because of these details, investigators initially appeared to consider the message potentially credible. However, the communication reportedly did not include proof that Nancy Guthrie was alive. In many kidnapping cases, proof of life is considered an important element because it demonstrates that the victim remains in the captor's control and provides leverage for ransom negotiations. The absence of such proof immediately raised questions among observers. Still, investigators could not dismiss the possibility that the message came directly from the offender. As a result, authorities reportedly proceeded with caution while evaluating its significance. A second message raises new questions. The investigation became even more complex when additional communications surfaced. According to reports, a subsequent note claimed that Nancy Guthrie had died after the abduction and suggested that her death had not been intentional. The message also reportedly contained language indicating that she had been buried with nature. These statements dramatically altered the tone from the earlier ransom demand. Rather than focusing primarily on money, the later communication appeared to contain emotional language and explanations. For criminal profiler John Kelly, this difference became a key point of concern. He argued that the tone of the second communication seemed inconsistent with the personality profile suggested by the alleged kidnapping itself. The contrast between the two notes led him to question whether they originated from the same individual. Understanding criminal profiling. Criminal profiling is not a precise science, but it remains a valuable investigative tool. Profilers study behavior, language patterns, crime scene characteristics, victim selection, and offender actions to develop theories about a suspect's personality and motivations. When examining written communications, experts often look for clues involving word choice, emotional expression, sentence structure, and attempts at manipulation. In some cases, subtle linguistic details can reveal information about education level, emotional state, personality traits, or even whether multiple authors may be involved. Kelly's analysis focused heavily on the apparent mismatch between the brutality of the alleged crime and the emotional content contained within parts of the messages. According to his interpretation, the behavior displayed during the kidnapping suggested an offender who was highly detached and focused on accomplishing a goal. The wording in later communications, however, appeared to convey a degree of emotional awareness that Kelly found difficult to reconcile with that profile. The importance of consistency. One principle frequently examined in criminal investigations is consistency. Offenders often reveal patterns in their behavior. While criminals may attempt to deceive investigators, certain personality characteristics tend to emerge repeatedly. If a suspect demonstrates extreme emotional detachment during a violent crime, investigators may expect similar characteristics to appear in subsequent communications. When significant inconsistencies emerge, experts may begin exploring alternative explanations. For example, multiple people could be involved. Someone unrelated could be sending messages. The offender may be deliberately attempting to manipulate investigators. Public information may not accurately reflect the full content of the communications. These possibilities make interpretation challenging. Without access to all evidence, outside experts can only offer theories based on publicly available details. The possibility of multiple participants' authorities have not ruled out the possibility that more than one individual could have been involved. Although surveillance footage reportedly shows a single suspect, investigators recognize that accomplices do not always appear on camera. Kidnapping operations sometimes involve planners, drivers, lookouts, or individuals responsible for communication. If multiple participants were involved, differences in writing style could potentially be explained. One individual may have carried out the abduction while another handled communications. This possibility has been discussed repeatedly by experts following the case. However, investigators have not publicly disclosed evidence confirming such a scenario. As a result, the question remains open. Surveillance video remains critical. One of the most significant pieces of evidence remains the surveillance footage reportedly recovered from the scene. The images captured an individual wearing a mask and carrying a backpack while approaching the property. Experts often examine surveillance footage for far more than facial identification. Investigators may analyze walking patterns, height estimates, body proportions, hand dominance, movement style, familiarity with the environment. Even small details can help narrow suspect pools. Behavior captured on video can also provide clues about confidence levels and planning. Some observers have noted that the suspect appeared calm while moving around the property. Such behavior often attracts attention from profilers because it may indicate preparation and familiarity with criminal activity. Family appeals for answers. Throughout the investigation, Nancy Guthrie's family has remained active in efforts to generate leads. Savannah Guthrie has publicly discussed the emotional toll of the case and has repeatedly encouraged anyone with information to come forward. The family's appearances and interviews have helped maintain public awareness and keep attention focused on the investigation. For families of missing persons, media exposure can play a crucial role. High-profile coverage often generates tips that might otherwise never reach investigators. Even seemingly minor observations can become important pieces of a larger puzzle. As time passes, maintaining public engagement becomes increasingly important. The psychology of kidnapping cases. Kidnapping investigations present unique challenges. Unlike many crimes, the offender often controls the flow of information. Investigators must determine whether communications are genuine, deceptive, or entirely unrelated. Each message must be carefully analyzed. Authorities evaluate authenticity, timing, linguistic characteristics, technical origins, hidden clues, possible forensic evidence. In some cases, offenders use communications to exert control. In others, messages are intended solely to confuse investigators. Determining the difference can be extraordinarily difficult. Why experts continue examining the notes. Despite ongoing uncertainty, the ransom notes remain among the most important elements of the investigation. If authentic, they could provide direct insight into the offender's thinking. If fraudulent, they could still reveal information about individuals attempting to insert themselves into the case. Either possibility makes them highly significant. Forensic linguists, behavioral analysts, and investigators frequently study communications in major criminal cases because written words often reveal more than intended. Patterns of expression can sometimes expose hidden characteristics. Even seemingly insignificant phrases may become valuable evidence. The search continues. Months after Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, authorities continue pursuing leads. Investigators remain committed to solving the case and locating answers for the family. Law enforcement agencies have conducted extensive searches, reviewed evidence, analyzed surveillance footage, and followed thousands of tips. The reward offered for information has grown substantially, reflecting the determination to bring resolution to the investigation. While many questions remain unanswered, authorities continue urging the public not to assume that someone else has already provided important information. Often, a single observation can change the direction of a case. Conclusion. The disappearance of Nancy Guthrie remains a heartbreaking mystery marked by disturbing evidence, unanswered questions, and ongoing efforts to uncover the truth. As investigators continue their work, experts remain divided over the significance of the ransom notes. Criminal profiler John Kelly believes the messages contain inconsistencies that raise doubts about their authenticity, while others caution that the full picture remains hidden from public view. Whether the notes were written by one individual, multiple people, or someone entirely unrelated to the crime remains unknown. What is certain is that the investigation continues, and authorities remain determined to identify those responsible. For Nancy Guthrie's family, every day without answers is another day of uncertainty. For investigators, every clue still matters. And for the public, the hope remains that someone, somewhere, possesses the information needed to finally solve one of the most troubling missing person cases in recent memory.